going on? This your boy Bezel. You now kicking it with Kass. I'm kicking it with Kass. You know what I'm saying?
What up, Bezel?
What's up, Cassidy? This is your boy DJ Bez, a.k.a. Bezel, up in the building. You already know what it is. So, Cassidy, what's going on?
Oh, my. We have a very special guest today, Bezel.
Very special guest.
I'm very excited to be here, so thank you for asking me to come. I'm really proud to be on In Touch News, In Touch News Radio.
Right,
where
that's right.
Everyone is a star.
Everyone is a star.
But we have a star in our midst today.
A star.
I'm really excited. A very bright star, if you will. Let me introduce to you all today Dr. Garfield Bright. Let's give a round of applause.
Round of applause for
everybody. Yes.
So you may know Dr. Garfield. Should I call you Dr. Garfield or Dr. Bright?
You just call me G.
Ooh, G. So we know G. You may know G from a group called Shy.
Yeah.
If you know the song, If I Ever Fall in Love, I should, or maybe it's Comforter. Or Baby, I'm yours.
She wanted to know
if you want me. Yeah.
DJ
that would be Dr. Garfield Bright. So ladies, tune in, because what I'm looking at is a very, very fine specimen of a man. He's been a fine specimen since the 90s.
Since the 90s.
She's making me blush over
Maybe even the 90s. You know what I mean? He came into the world. I'm, channeling Tammy this morning. So I'll just say this. We're really excited to have you in studio with us today, Dr. Bright. We've got a lot to touch on.
Let's talk.
You've done a ton since you toured with Shy long ago. But you're touring now.
Yeah, we never stop, really.
So let's talk a little bit about, what you've done before, and then we'll kind of kick it into what you're doing now.
Okay.
And how the folks can get in touch with what you're doing and how exciting it is. I would love to cue you up. So let's talk a little bit about Shy. You started in the music business when you were...
we were college seniors, so I was about 21 years old.
Where were you?
Howard University.
HU. Okay.
And, from there, there's a whole context around how we got to where we got in terms of that. But little known fact, Shy, we only did one show before we got a record deal. Albeit it was a huge show at Howard at Crampton Auditorium.
Wow.
And touching back on something y'all said a minute ago about everybody's a star, Sly and the Family Stone has a song called that. Y'all could use that because it's...
Let me hear it.
Everybody is a star. Y'all gotta play it.
You gonna have to rewrite that into something beautiful for us.
Yo, you gotta.
We need a tagline.
You gotta let Larry Green and them boys and all them. But so Shy, we kicked off from Howard and jumped right into a record deal with MCA Records. And the way it happened was funny and all that. But we landed on our feet in Los Angeles because MCA at the time had a New York office and a Los Angeles-based office.
Gotcha.
And the label Gasoline Alley, which was a joint venture with MCA, signed us. Okay. And that's how we flew out to LA straight out of the university, or Howard University, fresh-faced and 21, 22 years old.
That's love. I love that.
Industry.
So we've all seen, most of us have seen you all do a show. We've seen you tour. We know the songs. We sing them in the clubs. Even now, we're thankful for, that piece of history that just continues to grow for the culture. So thank you.
It's called baby making music.
Watch
out. I
out.
don't know anything about baby making music because I'm not out here making babies at this time. But I understand. She got 4 beautiful ones. Thank you very much. I'm pretty sure that's how we got Kendall.
Yeah, hilarious.
So at any rate, but knowing that you've done this beautiful piece of culture piece of history for the culture, what are you doing now to impact the culture? That's actually what I want to get into, because Dr. Bright is quite bright. You are a PhD.
Yes, I'm a PhD.
Tell me a little bit about your education. Tell the people about your background.
Being a son, a child of educators, first of all, that always impacts, teachers' children, how it usually is. It was my dad and mom were not teachers per se, but my mom and dad were highly political, and my dad worked for the National Education Association. My mom is a voting delegate with the Democratic National Convention, all that kind of stuff. I grew up on Alabama State's campus as a youngin, a shorty, and it was just always in me to see black excellence and black education as just some normal thing that everybody did. Like that was how I perceived it. So of course, when I'm coming of age, I'm going to college. I didn't even apply anywhere else but Howard. Like,
wow.
If I hadn't got accepted, I wouldn't have been in college that semester. Even though I had basketball scholarship offers and stuff from other schools. But so anyway, I'm at Howard, and I make sure I get the question. You said
No, I was just asking you about your educational background.
Yeah.
You went to Howard University.
Oh yeah, so Howard. So Howard kind of prepped
there.
me with critical consciousness. I worked on Capitol Hill because my major was political science for the Senate Judiciary Committee. Sometimes I would eat lunch with the Congressional Black Caucus and stuff like that because of my mom's hookups and stuff.
Beautiful.
And it kind of like sparked that fire, the legacy-rich tradition of Howard and what that is, the Mecca, and all of those things. It kind of inculcates this feeling of, like you have to show and prove and represent for the culture, all those different levels. And so, that kind of like informed us as we got our record deal. We were like very much so these Howard guys. Like our first album, or our second album was called Blackface, trying to push a inverse kind of piece of the Al Jolson Blackface, we want to kind of create a different thing and make the blackface term a positive one, because it is, because it looks like it's a pejorative thing now the way it's used, and so we want to flip that. And so we're always trying to do things like uplift our people and have conversations throughout our touring sessions at high schools and try to create sensibility among black students to know that you guys are your own best resources, and all those types of things as they matriculate. And so, Howard was kind of our bedrock, and we sprang from there. And so as we were in the industry, we got an Image Award, when we first came out the gates, and Best New Artist, but that meant something to us to have that NAACP.
And shout out to Howard University, for real. You guys, and that era right there that you guys had, there's a lot of good artists and people that came out of Howard.
Amazing. Right? Howard, Eric Roberson, Tracy Lee, Sean Allen, like you go Drew Hill. Even though they didn't go to Howard, they were from the Druid Hill area around it, and University Records, Hak Islam signed them, University Records. So, and you got people like Michelle and Degocello that was locally around from that area. Howard's always steeped in just artistry, and ever since, even back in the civil rights era with the Black Arts Movement, which was, parallel to civil, a lot of Howard influence was in that as well. You know what I mean? So,
and even the Renaissance of it all.
Yeah.
We have to remember that Howard University, Mecca, Washington D.C., Chocolate City, all of that is steeped. We talk about the Harlem Renaissance a lot, but we don't talk about the Renaissance that was occurring just a couple hours down the road, in the District of Columbia. So
yes.
I love that the music, the history. It's a beautiful place. Now I do have some issues with Howard right now because those students should not be living in mold. So this is going to be a smooth.
And that part has always been like a part of it.
It has.
The administration used to always kind of like look at the students like they didn't want to be there.
Right.
Like all of those things notwithstanding, it was the people that kind of made the experience at Howard what it was. Like I was at Howard when Puffy was at Howard, when a whole bunch of artists to be were at Howard coming of age, and that made the thing, when it was a crack era, but we pulled together and had the consciousness to take over the A building because they were trying to put Lee Atwater, a KKK member, on our board of trustees.
Oh, wow.
And so we were critically conscious enough. Why? Because the milieu that we were situated in with the Public Enemies and the KRS-Ones and the Rakims with knowledge of self, there's nothing I can. So all these things, we knew that we were not going to let a KKK member be on our board of trustees as a part of Howard University that we were. Our pride, and even though we were 18 and 19, we took some action. And so that's the kind of stuff that Howard put inside of me that I take away from Howard.
That's what I love. I think that's what's put in all of its students.
And we probably had mold in our doors back then too.
Right.
Right.
But we are better now, and we can do better now.
Yeah, We've
got
better.
some amazing folks who've come from the university. So we are going to continue to big up Howard University because it is an amazing space for us. But we also have to put our feet to the fire.
Yeah,
alumni. I'm an alum of North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Bright. So I'm always going to pay my fair share, because what I gleaned from A&T, what you gleaned from Howard, has allowed us to be do some amazing things, see some amazing things, and the students who are on campus now deserve that opportunity too. So that was just a quick little bitty news bite for folks who don't know. Check out what's happening at Howard University, and call on those alum who could be doing something better, and hold their feet to the fire, because we want our kids at historically black colleges and universities, and that's that's just what it
That's
is.
right, to be
They're all
comfortable
up
as
and down the
possible.
coast, and we need our alum to continue to pour back into the university. But Dr. Bright is pouring back into students in a whole nother way.
Yeah.
He is making sure that they are educated, and not just educated, but educated and interested in some really cool stuff. He just wrote a book. Tell me about your book.
The book is a fiction piece. It's a speculative type fiction piece, dystopian. It's in the future.
Okay.
It's a Afrofuturism type of piece called Lotus 3013, a fictional hip hop thought experiment. And in 3013, hip hop is believed to be a white cultural product. There's no trace or historical connection to it ever coming from anything black. Matter of fact, they have scientists that have this thing called neo hip hop, where they've taken the X factor or the magnetic aspects of hip hop from old and transferred it over into architectural design and different things and spaces to create interest from people who invest money to be more, intriguing for them to invest their money in it. But they're using as a secret source the incarcerated black males in these prisons. They're hooking their minds up with cathodes and anodes and giving them stimuli, and they're trying to locate the X factor in their thought process that makes what hip hop was so magnetic, where that came from. They're trying to find that element and locate it and localize it so they can use it, but it's at our expense. And the forces of good, the bad forces, Master Set, he's basically set up a paradigm where it's like a hamster wheel of perpetual presentness. So there's no past. It's ahistorical in life. Doing human is an ahistorical experience. But there are some black guys named the Netics who have time shifted this place called the Hall of Masters that houses it's a repository of all the proof that hip hop was black and Latino from the 20th century and 21st centuries. And they're protecting that because Master Set wants to kill that last bastion of truth. So his narrative that black people not only did not contribute anything to the world design holds up, but nobody can check and balance it because they can't look back and find artifacts. And so that's what the struggle is. And,
Lotus 3013.
Lotus 3013. Listen.
No. You're gonna have
That's amazing.
It sounds really interesting. So how are people gonna be able to get this? Is there like an audio?
he's good.
The audio version. We can get to the audio version.
He's helping me get my audiobook together. Like I recorded the audiobook as well because I'm gonna sell the audiobook along with the ebook so you can read along. I have twin sons who produced the score to my narration. It sounds like a movie. So it'll be exciting.
It sounds really exciting. I'm sorry, I had to plug that in.
But I didn't know how the waveforms were so huge. I didn't know how to get into a palatable size so I can, and my man Beslow here is a tech guy. He knows how to do it. So I'm here he can help me get that together and shoot some marketing materials and stuff like that. So
that's what brings you here to Tampa. Yeah. Perfect. Well, Bezel, we appreciate you.
I do
bringing this brilliant mind here.
Yeah, that's my guy.
I'm excited because Lotus 3013. 3013. That's why I'm saying Lotus 3013 because I can't wrap my mind around the year 3000.
I know.
Look, I'm reading Dawn right now. This is the year 10,000 and something like. I'm like,
that's
oh my
wild.
God.
So Black futurism is an art form that has really come to pass in the last 5 or 6 years, seeing it physically, right? Meaning the art. But the books, we've been reading for quite some time. If you're familiar with Octavia Butler.
That's my girl.
She is the godmother
Rest in power, lady.
of Black futurism. Did you glean anything from Octavia
she's a
when writing this book?
huge influence on J.R. Tolkien from Lord of the Rings.
Absolutely.
Right,
I just love that guy's.
He's kind of like the king. Yeah.
His plot development, his character development, the layers, the devices that he used narration wise within. But Octavia Butler, this black woman from Pasadena, California, Parable of the Sword was the first book I got by her for my birthday. A guy just randomly gave me a book and I loved it, and she has this philosophy inside of her book called Earth Seed, and it's a kind of a dystopian-esque kind of feel. Society is broken down, and now people have to go, traverse these real dangerous areas trying to seek a more peaceful existence without all the warring and fighting that's going on around. And she's in this group that's trying to get to a kind of like a promised land place. But this earth seed kind of like sustains in them this philosophy. But it's fiction, but this earth seed philosophy, we could literally live by that. The way if you read the little, and so I was just so inspired by how her mind worked and how she kind of like created a really realistic or realism kind of approach. It's speculative fiction. It's fiction, but it's so speculative. I guess that's why the genre is called speculative fiction. But I looked at her and read her stuff and was totally inspired by plot development. Once again, the structure, the sensibilities. She's an empath, a super empath, so she can feel people's experiences and how to navigate that. And a lot of times, just I'm a Libra and a black man, and I kind of empathize. I can kind of some of those things that she speaks to, being in crowds, and like, I'm not a people person, to be honest with you, but being in the industry made me be that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would be comfortable in the corner just watching things, but I could feel all the people in the room, and that's why I really didn't want to. And so reading her be an empath and how she utilized and navigated that, it spoke to me in so many ways. And as I write, I always think about, like, what would Octavia do, or how would J.R. Tolkien broach this?
What would Octavia do?
Yeah.
Woo woo.
So she hit something right there. Like, I think everybody needs to check out Octavia Butler. Like, I know Key and Peele and all of them. I know, because they do a lot of stuff that could be, what's the movie? The movie with
Get Out.
Get Out. I
Yes.
couldn't think of that. And then your boy, there's a brother.
I heard he dropped into the unknown.
That's pretty good.
Well, all of these things inspired me to kind of like, as I was writing my my piece, some of the mechanisms that I use within my storytelling kind of came inspired from those.
How long did it take you to write the book?
Yeah.
Well, I had that book in my head for 10 years.
Wow.
But I wrote it in 13 months. And everything. It started when I was at Cal State Northridge. I was a part of a group called the Hip Hop Think Tank. I was fortunate enough to help design a class called the Politics of Hip Hop at Cal State Northridge that kind of like showed the power dynamics. It's a political science class, but we use, to create engagement, we use hip hop dynamics. Mm-hmm. And so, like, say for instance, like political action committees, right?
Yes.
That's funding for you to locate a candidate
that
to serve your interests,
correct.
and you put money into that person, knowing that once you put them in place through your donations, so to speak, they're going to represent your interests.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, in music, that's payola. If you get Puffy or somebody and they want artists to be represented on the playlist and the program director to play,
right,
they pay them a little something, engender, ingratiate themselves with them and make sure that they know that that's going to be the case. So regardless of if the music is dope or not, that's a relationship, and you're going to get this out of what I give you, and over time it becomes a relationship that they can kind of depend on. Just like a lot of the, like AIPAC, the Israel lobby, and stuff like that. That's the power lobby. If they got your back, you're gonna represent. It's the same thing. So when the students started seeing those were parallels, it was more engaging in the class. And
Gotcha.
so one of the things we did was create a journal, talking about all things on the landscape of hip hop, like misogyny, all the way across the board. And I was fascinated with the fact that people who would normally be writing rhymes are now writing these research papers to put into this journal that we were creating. And that's how I got to Georgia State, is because we started, it was sexy at the time. Tupac was in the academy as an issue to talk about by scholars. Nas's Illmatic was talked. So we were presenting papers from that book at these conferences, and we were the young guns coming out of Cal State Northridge at these academic conferences with this hip hop like research, and people were like loving us. And from there I got a chance to present, and they loved what I did. Forget about the shy stuff. They like what I was doing as a scholar.
Right.
And they were like, yo, we offering you a fellowship if you want to come to Georgia State for this master's program. And
Right.
So tell us about this master's program.
Yeah.
That sounds, I'm sorry, that's
That's
very
it,
interesting to me.
yeah,
It's impressive.
I got a fellowship for African American Studies program at Georgia State, and they're one of the few African American Studies programs that actually has a director over it. It's not just there are different iterations.
Classes.
Yeah, there are different iterations of African American Studies, and if you have a department with a director, that's something to look at. And what they were trying to do was trying to appeal to the university to get more funding so they can have a doctoral program. So when the students from the master's program finish that, they can go right into this doctoral piece and then do some dope research around African American Studies issues. So I was kind of one of the early ones. I got my master's. I got the Dr. Asa Hilliard Award for my master's thesis. I looked at African-centered education, trying to find out exactly what it was. It was called Towards a Common Center. And that's when I discovered the class womb concept and stuff like that. And then I kept matriculating. I went into the PhD program in educational policy studies at Georgia State from there. And I got the dissertation award for my scholarly pursuits in there, the College of Arts and Sciences.
Yeah,
and it's
shout out
crazy
to-
because right now it's a big shakeup of critical race theory, and that was the actual theoretical framework I used to inform my research. I looked at two aspects of it. One called interest convergence. And things like Brown versus Board of Education is an interest convergence scenario.
Right.
Then I looked at Cheryl Harris from Harvard. She has a thing called whiteness as property. And those are the two things that I inform my research, doctoral research on. I looked at how black males navigated inequitable power structures, focusing on classrooms, how black males navigate that skewed power dynamic, and how black males navigate the music industry.
That is, listen, I don't, let me see who is on live. Nope, not enough. But I'm going to tell you this. I know a plenty of artists who would glean so much from a paper like that. Not only are we creatives, not only are we educated, you know what I mean, but we need something, a policy piece that we can stand on so that we can use that within our creativeness, our creative outlets. I love it. That's fantastic.
So that's kind of my path, and really all I was doing was expressing both sides of myself. I'm an artist and I'm an academic type of guy. Instead of having that either or kind of thing, I just decided to do both and. Like, what's wrong with win-wins? Why is there always got to be a binary where it's a win-lose paradigm we live in? So
how do we all win?
Yeah,
'cause we can all win.
We can make that happen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
there doesn't have to be a
why
structure in
choose
this
that?
way.
Yeah, and that's capitalism in a lot of ways is that choice. Like, there's capitalism is based on rugged individualism. The dynamic is versus mode, and there has to be supply and demand by rule. Everybody can't have a satiated living thing. There has to be some people that haves and have-nots are part of capitalism on purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
So how you going to have that as our system and then talk about equity and equality going forward? When our foundation is never built for that expression. That dialectic is, and it's built to create binaries.
Correct.
It's built to create versus modes, and what we end up having is the misinterpretation of opposites. Well, opposite always means versus instead of looking at complementary aspects. Like, look at a triangle; they got complementary angles that equal 360.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the 90-degree angle ain't looking at the 45 saying I'm better than you. That's part of the triangle. They all make each other stable. And so I'm like, that style of mentality is, in everything we do, even though I love sports, football, basketball, all of those create that versus mode. Even though there's life lessons and teamwork and all that, it's still creating a divide in terms of how we perceive human dynamics that strengthen the resolve to go for self above and beyond. And so these things I don't think are oversights. I think they are purposely put into our psyche to create a paradigm on how to do human to sustain that, because it benefits a certain group of people. And we can reinvent that. We can change that, I think.
Man, one of the things I love about you, man, is that how you break things down into,
bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, he breaks it down.
He's
Like, he breaks it down. You guys want to know about a word or something like that, he'll break it down, the where it came from, how the structure of it came from, and it was just we had a conversation. We would just be riding, and I'd be learning. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm getting educated while driving or whatever the case may be. I'm just saying, I love how you break it down, man. It's awesome.
I love learning things, and I love observing and connecting dots and seeing patterns and trying to figure out really what the hell is this thing that we're living in. What is this? Like, nobody really knows what this actually is, and people kind of just ignore it because it's such a big task to wrap your head around what this is, what time is, what is dimension.
It's just easy to go under the cover.
Like, how do you exist in a space that has no real beginning or no ending?
Right.
And nobody's ever told that real actual story. What about language? Where did it come from for real? All I know is the Tower of Babel, but where did that language actually come from? And what does that mean? Like, all of these different things that inform how to do human, I'm interested in. And,
So tell me, what's the big idea? BIGIDEA.
Around.
Don't you have a theory?
Oh, wait a minute. Are you
called
talking
the big idea?
Oh no, I had a thing that I was doing called Curiosity Collage.
Tell me about Curiosity Collage.
Yeah, well, Curiosity.
I just flipped it on you.
Oh, yeah.
That from you. We're gonna go somewhere.
No,
else
yeah. Curiosity Collage was something. If you go to my Instagram page, I created a series of kind of like 10-minute bite-sized kind of educational, quasi-educational pieces, historical, educational pieces around things. It started off being things that I was curious about as a child that I kind of like fell back because of adult authority, kind of like, you know, I deferred to it. But little things at first. I was looking at the word Wednesday, and people pronounce it as Wednesday, and I just learned how to read, and I signed it out, and I see a D for Wednesday. I'm like, all these grown teachers that I trust and stuff are still saying Wednesday. I look at this lady as smart, but she's saying Wednesday. That's not what she taught me to do. And so when I get older, I'm like, there has to be a reason why that is even spelled. And I find out the answer that Wednesday is actually Norse mythology is Woden or Odin's day. And then Thursday is his son, Thor's day. And then Friday is Freya, the wife, the consort, which corresponds to the planet Venus, which is the planet of love. All that making. Then Saturday is Saturn day, Sunday, Monday, lunar, Tuesday is Zeus day. You know, the T and the hard D can be interchangeable. And so I had to figure out that
you're teaching people, your followers.
And it graduated from those kinds of little curiosities to I wanted people to become more aware of like certain historical figures that kind of like really shaped our experience, but they don't get the credit, like a Paul Robeson or Ella Baker's.
I feel like I just got my PhD.
Garrett Morgan.
The inventor. I created an inventor series, and Garrett Morgan is one of the people. Sarah Boone, who created the ironing board. There's so many different people. The two sisters, the Davis sisters, who created the first sanitary belt with this, all the dry cleaning, and you know, all of these different inventors that kind of shape society. And black people keep hearing in schools that we didn't contribute to civilization, and all these black inventors just out of necessity creating all these things that we utilize every day. Garrett Morgan with the traffic light, the gas mask. You know, and so it turned into that kind of a thing.
Fantastic. I love it. Can you sing your theme song?
Oh, this is it's time for curiosity. Come on.
Yeah, I love that. That's cute. I think it's cute. You guys, you have to follow him on Instagram. I'm gonna tell you something. So last night, I looked on your Instagram page, and you had 11.3 thousand followers. This morning, I sat in this chair. And this brother had 12.
I got 12?
4.
Are you kidding me?
1,000 followers. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
As sitting here.
As she was sitting here.
You went from 12.4 to 12.5. So I'm just saying, what's the secret sauce, Dr. Bright?
Look,
what's the secret sauce?
I'm slow on all the social media stuff, and I just didn't get into it until way late. And all my friends from the old school, you know, H-Town and SWV got all these followers, like 144K. I mean, so I just started kind of getting myself together. And what really happened was Coco from SWV. I used to date Coco back in the day.
Coco.
And she had this picture of she and I back in the day when, like, you know how
she tagged you in it.
You know how you can go to your mom's job for, like, they bring your daughter to work day or whatever.
Yes.
I was with her. We went to her mom's job. She took a snapshot. She posted it on her page and tagged me. And I was like at 8,900 or something at that point. Like when I woke up the next morning, I was at 10,200.
Wow.
Right?
Thanks, Coco.
Coco. Continuing to put them on. That's right, girl.
I've done a few podcasts, but I really still think it's her fans that still are like coming to my page.
Absolutely, it's us. Look, it's us.
So they're keeping me, you know, like now I can sell my book from my page because you can monetize it after you get past 10,000, like little stuff. So little things like that. But I had no idea it was in the 12.
Well, you grew overnight. Like overnight. So I was like, all right, well, let me go ahead and follow this. And I did go down the little rabbit hole with the curiosity collage, but I did enjoy that. I thought that was cute.
You.
And I love bite-sized information pieces, right? Things that you can share, snippets that you can share where you're going to find
quickly
and get a learning experience, right? So, something that I'm going to be able to use at 7:30 during Jeopardy, or you know, when someone is saying something that I know is ignorant, and I'm able to respond without with fact. So that's awesome.
Thank you,
Dr. Bright.
Thank you.
So we've talked about the book Lotus 3013. Where can we get Lotus 3013?
Well, when I release it, it's going to be somewhere in January. It's going to first be at this website that I'm creating, but the link is going to be on my IG page.
Perfect. So follow his Instagram at the Garfield Bright, TheGarfield Bright.
Experience, the Garfield Bright experience.
And let's get him to 15,000 followers.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
think that's like a really good.
I'm so impressed.
I like small goals. So you're at about 12/5.
Wow.
Let's say by what month is this? This is November. We're 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So let's just say by the end of the year. Let's just give you 5 weeks,
I
right?
love it.
Let's
I'm
give
not mad.
a strong 5 weeks
Strong
to get you to 15.
A strong 5.
15K in 5 weeks. That's what we're doing.
I'm just trying to get up.
That's what we're doing.
Trying to get
So
up there.
I manage social media
Okay.
for a bank, which is
my
wild.
God.
You know, this is what I do in my spare time. But, you know, on my corporate time, I manage some social media platforms. So it's always interesting to watch how I can't get my followers up on a bank's platform. But I'm watching you, so I'm like, maybe I give some education
You need a picture
on
with Coco.
finances. You know what? Hi, Coco. Follow me at Kick It with Kass,
Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
KICKWITH
She's the
Help
magic formula.
me get my followers to learn a little bit more about financial literacy.
Coco is the magic panacea.
She's the magic touch.
She's the gold, the silver with a silver bullet or whatever they call it. Yeah, she big. She got my page popping.
Love it. Look, that's beautiful. So you did say that you have twin boys.
Yes, I do.
Who are producers.
Yeah,
Tell me about your family. Just tell us about your family life.
the twins, man, they're they're just 26 now.
Oh,
Dang.
ladies. So not only they're 26, there's a younger version.
Younger
of Dr.
versions.
I know.
Younger versions of Dr. Garfield Bright.
Mizan, who's a year younger.
Sure they
than
get a
me,
good look
and
at
then-
you in the camera right there.
Look right there.
You know what I'm
See,
saying?
show
They sure
that.
got the good
Well,
version
he's
right
got
there.
hang time on his cornrows. He's got true hang
Y'all
time.
are crazy, man.
Man, you
Noisy hairstyles. But yeah, so like my twins are Grammy nominated. They did some stuff with Post Malone. They did some stuff with Fergie. But they used to be a producer team for this guy named Rockstar in California, who's produced a lot of stuff. But they produced the score under my audio book, and so the narration that I'm doing, they have like score stuff under it, sound like a movie, like it's like, you know, like the tension scenes and the, but it's hip hoppy like underneath it. It's different.
It's dope.
Yeah,
It's dope. It's
And
actually
so-
dope. I'm like, I'm
I
excited.
kind of want to hear it.
Yeah, they're dope
Yeah.
producers. They got a lot of buzz on LA scene. A lot of people, you know about the twins, the Twin Towers. And then my son Mizan, who's right up under them, he models. He's a straight model, like
Ladies,
real
y'all hear
fine.
that? Straight model.
Got
He-
two
up and down.
producers and a model.
He's
Okay.
and models and
he's always up at
singers.
Fashion Week in New York and all that. And he's just, and he also is a graphic design person. He's really talented with art and can draw. Just a good dude. He's the guy that I'll go in the bathroom because he's hogging it and he's doing 1,500 calf raises, 1,500, and he's on number 498, and I'm just getting tired of hearing him count. And then Nasir is the baby of that bunch. He's 22, and fly, brown skin, curly hair dude, and he has his own line called Rare, R-A-R-E, clothing line.
Nice.
Rare.
Real successful. Like, boy just bought a Benz and he's always traveling everywhere. You know what I mean?
Being his 22-year-old self,
I'm
ladies, he is
like-
unavailable because he is 22. You don't want that. That's
man,
young and fun.
I can't believe how many like older ladies be trying to get with my young
I
son.
bet. A sugar
But
mama.
he's a real handsome brother, but a real grounded kind of brother too. They're all good guys, man. Just seriously, and everything.
And you did some education. You taught them, right?
Yeah, I did homeschooling too.
Oh, you
right?
homeschooled.
Until they were in ninth grade, and it was funny because in ninth grade I got offered when I got my undergrad, when I went back and got my degree from Cal State Northridge. The same day I graduated, I got interviewed for a teaching position in Lawndale, California, at the Environmental Charter High School, and I got hired.
Wow.
And so my twins, who were going into the ninth grade to high school, transitioning from homeschool, they actually came to the school that I taught
Oh,
at.
and transition with you. That's
Yeah,
kinda
and
cool.
so I was in the school that all, it was a cool little vibe to have my sons there and being.
So he was quarantine teaching before everybody.
Yeah.
And for all of that. So
Dr. Bright, big quarantine.
But I
teaching.
think the answer to a lot of the ills, because people kind of are under the illusion that education, that one size fits all piece,
Right.
can actually tend to all ethnic groups. And I think within each ethnic group, there should be the latitude to kind of form and contour your own educational experiences to create the solution set for what you want to see in terms of what you're lacking in society. And so homeschooling, if you can get a cluster enough of homeschools with like-minded people, you can create your own curriculum. Like if you think fiscal literacy is something that black children shouldn't just know about out of the room damn near, make that just as much a core content course as your math STEM classes, or make it weave it into your math STEM courses, like but we need other stuff. I'm making a strong push, Artist and Scholar initiative that I have going, where I think it's a union of W.B. Du Bois's philosophy. You know, that I hate the talented 10th concept, but he thought that we could kind of like garner some respect by the college trajectory, you know, the educated, and impact the political sphere through that for our race to get that respect. And then Booker T. Washington, they often pit those two against each other, but he was saying, you know, cash your bucket where you stand, like roll up your sleeves, do this hard work, and get the respect that way. And instead of them being at odds or being in this binary where they're opposite and versus, we should fuse those two together. And so I feel like the artisans, the skilled tradesmen are just as valuable as people who are on this college trajectory. And why not one person house both of those realities within their body?
Space.
So
I like that.
And so when they graduate, even if they do go to college bound, they still have they're certified in a certain skilled trade. Because best believe when the weather's bad, who's going to have all the money? The carpenters, the plumbers. They can cut, go around and get to electricians, and that's transferable to any space you go to, in any state, anywhere in the world. Even a barber, cut hair or something. If you have a trade along with your STEM understanding, your ability once you graduate to be productive and earn money on your own terms, or even employ other people while you're in college. You got to hustle where you set up a little guild where your homeboys are all certified plumbers or electricians. Y'all can create a business to attend to different local businesses and different things like that. And what it does is it keeps the community as one, because those blue collar workers, those skilled tradesmen are kind of looked at as second tier to people who have their college degrees or something like that. And that's just a whack perception, because those are the glue people in the community, and they often work in local spaces like family businesses or people's homes. And so what if a scholar had that sensibility that those tradesmen have? Well, you'll start having people with more of an anchor in their community that have those corporate connections, because they also have a sensibility to respect the plumbers and as equivalents to them, like people working with their hands that make society kind of stay together. And what if you have new crops of students that had both of those sensibilities housed in that one body? There's a lot of layers to community-ness and stuff in that, and as well as upward mobility in terms of being able to secure a dollar for yourself and employ others on your own terms. Right. We fall into a trap of things that are pre-made. We want to fit into presets a lot of times, and public education is a preset. We didn't create that. And it's a public good, and usually public goods take a back seat to those privatized, specialized goods. And so you get what you pay for in education. And if we can use the homeschooling lane to kind of create clusters of people who want to see different outcomes, we can do something and create movements where the certification for homeschooling can be different, and we can add these types of classes and create products coming through that class wombness that we can create to substantially differ from what's being created now from public school systems. And we don't need no vouchers to go to some white school that's not going to even, the voucher's not going to pay for the uniform, Right.
That's
and
true.
so we need our real mamas and daddies and uncles and people like that.
To buckle down.
Yeah, to kind of just be a part of that thing. Yeah. So.
Well, I like that. I actually had this conversation maybe 2 days ago about folks having a trade. I don't mind if you don't go to college, because I know what college taught me and what I gained from it. I have a journalism degree. My parents have a newspaper and are in communication. So my degree was great for me, right? I also thought I wanted to be a chemical engineer. That is not what I was good at. God did not bless me there, but he blessed me here. So I think that for me, this was my trade. Right. Going to school, and getting a journalism degree was a trade for me, because this is my parents' trade. This is their life, right? This is the legacy that they've created for us. So I will always have not only a degree to fall back on, but a product, something that exists.
You have a foundation already.
It makes sense.
You have the platform too.
For other students, we've got kids out there who have no interest in being a doctor or a lawyer or a scientist, but they could easily be an electrician or a plumber. And we are in a place now, pandemic, where we don't have any of those things. You know how
those are people that are working.
Yes.
They're certified in the guild. They have to get a certain amount.
And do you know how hard it is to find a trade school?
Man.
So, new business idea.
And you know how many of our
Trade
elders
school.
out here they went that route?
Yeah.
They're tradesmen.
My grandmother is cosmetology. She taught cosmetology for years. The majority of the people who are doing hair in Memphis, Tennessee,
See what I'm saying?
were taught by Vernice Payne.
See that?
So it's
Right.
just, my grandfather was in education. It's just important to have those,
All
those
those educated
levels.
people, we don't know how to put up no
Yeah.
drywall. Like, what if society just broke down?
We would be in trouble. That's
You know
what I
what I
said. Do
mean?
you know how to make your own
Except for those
water?
people that know how to do trades, they'll be able to
Exactly.
go in there and get busy and boom,
and
boom,
and,
boom.
Right.
ra- and you
That part.
and charge whatever price they want.
See?
So, and now you're self-sufficient. Now you are, an entrepreneur making
Right.
your own. So
Nice.
let's create. That's how we create.
I think we need to
entrepreneurs.
have a mental ambidexterity where we do both. That needs to be standard in our educational process.
Well, okay, so we have given the folks some heavy. All right, we've gone
Heavy.
deep. We've gone deep into the education. We may have gone a little too high
Maybe
for
maybe
folks,
not.
but that's okay. Well, we go high, so you will come higher.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? And Michelle say when they go low, we go high. Well, we're giving you high, so we want to push you higher.
That's right, that's
Okay.
right.
But let's talk a little bit about the music. You guys have you've got some music coming out. I want to hear the song, and I want to hear a little bit from the book. What can we do? Bezel, I want to hear something.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Ooh, you hear that? Well, you
Wait,
wanna-
the people want to hear something.
I can answer that demand. Well, whatever that was,
I mean,
you hit that.
with Garfield coming into town, we like to tend to get as much work as possible.
I like it.
to get done. I mean, he came here a couple times ago, or not a couple times, but last time he came, we was in the studio, 3 days straight,
Yeah, we were.
getting it in, did a lot of stuff, and with that, manifesting into what we're doing right now. I remember him talking about his book, working on his book, and with the phone calls, calling me and
Right.
going back and forth, and just to see the finished product that he did it all together is really
Lotus
cool. It's really dope.
3013.
At the same time, he was talking about his book. I was working on my album that I dropped in July, and that he's also featured on one of the songs on the album called Sweet Memories.
Memories,
And
yeah.
while he's here, we was like, you know what? Let's just go shoot some scenes real quick for this
See?
video, so we can get it knocked out. Do the interview, doing more stuff with finishing up his the finishing touches with the audiobook, which is really great. And so I'm excited for him to be here because he comes from out of state just to come over here and get work done, which I really appreciate. And what I'm saying, I already told you this, man, but I really love you for that, man. I appreciate your time and coming out here, hanging out with me, and thinking that, not thinking, but working on stuff to get
It's
it
my
to
pleasure,
get it
B.
good.
You a good guy, man, and plus you really about what you say you're about, and you're talented, man. So I rock with you.
Exactly.
Good.
So that's what we do.
We love that. I love it when the brothers who are talented, who have something to say and something to share, do what it is that needs to be done in order to get it to the masses. So
No doubt.
that's what's up.
No
Well
doubt.
done. Cool.
So what else we got, Cass? Because we almost wrapping it up. We got about a few more minutes to the end of the show.
Well,
Yeah.
I feel let's go a little light. I wanna, because you are a music head, so
new music.
I wanna
We
hear
talking
new
about
music. That's
right?
what I wanna
You
hear.
have new music coming out too?
Yeah, I do. I have a acapella album. I'm doing one solo project in my life. I'm not doing a solo career or anything. It's sanctioned by Shy.
Okay.
But I'm doing a album where it's all acapella, even the tracks. Like I'm creating tracks with drum sounds, strings, piano, but it's acapella, and then I'm doing a song on top of that, singing it. So it's called Off Track.
That's dope.
Off track.
Yeah.
All acapella, but you don't understand. He got like.
Where can they get off track?
His
How can they get on track and listen to off track?
Well, when I finish it up, I'm also gonna be, it's gonna be on all those platforms and stuff like that. But before that, I'm gonna try to set up something where I can honor the people who are my fans who've actually come to my page, so if I can sell something directly to them without any of that middleman stuff.
Well, I was
So-
gonna say, look, you create yourself a Wix right quick. You will have all the things that you need.
Yeah, I
right?
mean,
I'm working on
I'm
that.
archaic when it comes to the tech world. So
We gotta get you from analog to digital,
I'm
but you're
still
doing a
analog.
great job.
I'm
You're
trying.
doing a great
I
job.
know, people who know.
Listen,
Now, can we get that plug again? What's that Instagram, Mr. Dr. Bright? What's the Instagram?
Oh, for me, the Garfield Bright Experience. That's Facebook and Instagram, IG. And Shy, you can get us at Shy Hieroglyphics. It's SHAI Shy, and then Hieroglyphics together, like hieroglyphics.
The hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
So any other platform you're on? Besides Instagram,
Instagram and Facebook. Facebook for me, I cut out the Twitter because I just never was, I'm not.
What?
I'm just not a Twitter dude.
I'm not a Twitter dude either.
So what happened when Facebook shut down? Y'all
I'm really not a social media guy.
Gotcha.
I just,
I
I
get my
struggle.
news from Twitter.
Really?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you, I've broken a lot of news. A
sure
lot of news has
probably,
been broken on Twitter. And then that's why when I look at CNN, I'm like, that's not what really happened.
I'm not going to even tell you where I get my news from.
Where you get your news from? If you tell me TMZ, I'm done with you, Dr.
It's not even a space like that. It's like a ritual that I have.
You read the paper?
I know. It's close. I read headlines from my phone
I got
news
you.
when I'm sitting in the bathroom.
Right.
So many trends. It goes from because they section it from the technology to the sports to the the business to and all the different and I
just read the quick stories. Got
I read the headlines. But see, I got taught by some people how to look at headlines and understand, like, because the higher ups in the ad industry, they put words next to each other in groupings to convey a theme, even if they're not a part of the same story. Like there's subliminal stuff going on in headline structures. It ain't just like think of you see the alliteration, all the little cute stuff, but they actually put power words next to each other, and then some of that stuff is prophetic. Like, I study the headlines in those ways. I don't even have to read the articles. I just see what they're trying to get people to think, what direction they're trying to get people to go in on the main part of it, and I study the movement to see.
Headlines can grab you. That's why we have clickbait now. But
Right,
I love that.
right.
Look, so be careful what you read, ladies and gentlemen. Clickbait does exist, but we saw
But dig
that,
deeper in what you read, because it's like there's something behind with this. They ain't just putting those headlines together, just a group of words that they thought was clever. Those things are it's certain words that they'll use over other words. There's a lot of association to that, that can let you into the thinking.
You got some new music for us, Bessel?
New music. I got the music that we did. That's the new music for you guys.
I also wanted to know this random question. Sure. In a versus, if you all were to do a versus, if Shy was to do a versus, who
that's a good
would
I don't know.
your competition be?
I don't know, because albeit the songs that we did have that were hits were like entrenched hits, like hits that kind of like really they weren't, because all hits aren't created equal. And we were fortunate enough to have 3 top 10 hits at a time when Babyface and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Whitney Houston, all these different heavy cats were out, and we were battling that. So If I Ever is like a classic hit. But we don't have enough body of work. We only did 2 albums pretty much, and like the groups that are our contemporaries got way more bodies of work and probably more hits than us, like Silks and Drew Hills. They did more stuff than us, like
I love Drew Hills.
Mint Conditions. All the people that came out in our time period, kind of like we don't have but we can, but we get respect from them, like we like artists, because they know that those songs we did were those types of songs. But I don't know if we could be in a real good battle to go back and forth with people on songs.
Say we had all right, I'll give you that. Top 3 hits. You just said you had 3 top 10s.
Oh yeah, we had 3
Based
top 10s.
on your 3 top 10s, who will be your competition? Just from 3 top 10s.
Man, I just it's hard for me to say, because I put it like this.
Because we loved you all so much.
The reason I'm saying it, because there's some matchups that are so organic, like 112 versus Jagged Edge.
Yeah.
Like that's like
That's
perfectly. I'm just saying in terms of like how it set itself up to boom.
What about like
up,
Next?
No, sorry.
What about Next?
I love me some
Next,
Butter
we
Love.
perform at Next all the time.
right.
Okay, so you guys perform together.
All the time. The 90s kickback stuff. Dude named Shane.
Next, maybe Rough Ends.
Rough Ends is
Rough
they got
Ends,
one of my
okay.
favorite songs, but that's still not our.
I don't know if
That's
I
not
don't
your
know.
favorite.
It's hard because
So all right. So I won't put you on the spot anymore. Tell me this: if you had a dream versus, who would be on your dream versus?
Well, people that I would see going up against each other.
Yeah.
Oh,
It can be anybody, and it could have already happened.
they're so good at making those matches.
Man, I'm gonna tell you,
they've been
The people that they put up there are really like, that's dope. Like they're the perfect. Like they got it.
Busta hasn't had one,
Ain't nobody trying to
and
see
Missy
Busta.
Elliott hasn't had
Let
one.
me say this about Missy. Like the other day, I was trying to figure out what the hardest sport was to play,
Okay.
Yeah, you told me.
and I came up with hockey, and then
Why? Because
boxing.
you have to stay on your
Just to
feet
even
on
play
ice.
it, just to even be not like, let alone being good at it, just to play the doggone thing. You gotta know how to skate flawlessly, backwards, forward. Ain't no falling. Stop on a dime, switch direct. Like you gotta be an Olympic skater. Then the dexterity to hit a puck with that long stick and make it go when you trying to. It's like it's crazy. And then the money in it when you're little trying to buy all the equipment. Well, I look at Missy as like if you want to see just artist for artist for artist, giving all the strengths. Like I can't think of an artist from songwriter to arranger to singing to rhyming to production to just in her own mind coming up with some funky like just a producer type.
I love Missy.
I can't see then the visuals like you know if you like Busta Rhymes videos, she's probably the dopest artist that I've ever known in our contemporary times. Like,
but I think Missy and Busta would have a great show because they energies.
I wasn't even looking at Busta and Missy on no thing yet. I was just strictly bigging up in Missy, but Busta, but Missy is just so dynamic. Like Lauren was like that, but Missy's even more like that. Like Missy will outrhyme pretty much anybody you put in. Like she just don't go that route. Really. And the rhymes that she does, she does commercial stuff because she knows it's gonna sell. But put her in a hardcore space and watch what happened to you battling Missy. Then singing like all that stuff she gave Monica and all that. She could have sung that. Aaliyah, Missy could have easily. The demo of that is probably the doper than the artist. Just in her ear, like before she came out, I heard this little demo. Before she got signed, she was dealing with Devontae from Jodeci.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, Virginia, they were in his lab, I think. And she had this Mickey D, mic check, 1, 2, get ready. I'm good. Like her idea of what cadences are on stuff it's just she's a prodigy. Like she's different.
Wow.
And I don't really think that she's ever even got to show the audience
not gotten the
who she is as a true artist. But she's so dope that it just bleeds through. But Missy's probably the dopest artist. So I can't see nobody in a talent battle with Missy beating her on all these different fronts.
Right.
Some fronts people might be a little better than her in some of the individual silos of it, but just comprehensively, I put Missy as the dopest artist.
Missy Elliott, the dopest artist. You heard it from Dr. Garfield Bright.
And there's a lot of dope artists out there that I love and respect. And and I'm talking about contemporary, like my time forward. Like I just ain't seen nobody outdo Missy, you know, just in terms of just creativity and then making it come to fruition.
She's a woman.
And,
you know, I would like to see not for nothing the Tribe Called Quest. I like Tribe Called Quest.
I love Tribe. What?
You know what I'm saying? So I like to see. I don't know yet.
Come on.
But see, it's so many one of one. They were one of one so much so. Like when Tribe came in, you had Rakim, you had KRS-One, you had Public Enemy with that style of hip hop, and then here come Tribe with the Instinctive Travels, whatever the name of that thing, that first album was, and they had these jazzy, like Jungle Brother-esque kind of, you know, De La Soul. That whole Native Tongue movement was just so different. Even Black Sheep was part of that. But they were just so different sonically from what mainstream hardcore boom bap hip hop was, using all them jazz samples. But they was down with Busta and stuff like that.
Right, Leaders of the News.
Yeah, Leaders of the News and stuff.
So that's but as far as that, for them to verse somebody else, I don't know. I think
like Tribe would have to go up against like De La, like because that's the only ones kind of close enough.
Close enough.
And got enough hits because you know Jay Dilla with that Stakes Is High. Dun, 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 dun,
if you don't know Dilla, and if you don't know Dilla, you should
Dilla,
learn.
man. So you know all that stuff that busted it, the y'all, like we come correct. Woo ha! I think that was Dilla's beat too. Anyway, I don't know who could battle, like who Shy would be able to battle in terms of like an equivalent type of thing that we both, because everybody from my time was such a one of one. Like Silk was not like Shy, not like Jodeci. Jodeci was not like Boyz II Men. Right. You know, H-Town was not like none of us.
Had your own
SWV was not like Jade.
That's right.
It was just, you know, it was just everybody.
We have to dive deeper and see what was out there at that time and match them up correctly.
I would just love a good versus show. I would like to see not just two, but you know, I would like to kind of like a rapid competition.
You know what I like to see?
Boom.
Something like the Showdown. I would call it the Showdown Throwdown, right? And it would be like 10 groups. 10 groups judged by all the old head, like the Temptations, the Stylistics. All these people would be the judges, right? And each group, it would have to. One category was to put head to head. If they put Boyz II Men head to head up with Shy or something in this thing, when it's our turn, we would have to sing "End of the Road." They would have to sing "If I Ever." Then solo, it would be like solo skills competition. Like, what's your dopest riff or run combination? It would be like then like a note competition. Who can hold a note the longest? Like breath control. Like all these different like
So you try
obstacle course, and then see who emerges out of that.
It's like an American Ninja Warrior for
Right. And then it would be like a track, like a producer would have, and you get like a 16 bar. You got 15 minutes to come up with a 16 bar vamp from your group and battle the same track with another group what they came up with for that vamp, and harmonies would be part of it.
This is what Diddy was trying to do
That's a
when he
good
was
show on
making the
Netflix,
band.
like something like that. It is, those kinds of things. And then,
I like that.
And then when they ask people, who their influences were and stuff like that, a lot of those judges from back then end up being named as like, I used to, like that kind of thing.
I'm here for that. Do you guys do you watch like The Masked Singer or
Nah, I don't.
anything like that? Are you
I'm really not a
TV
TV
watcher?
type of dude
That's
like
dope.
that. I just, in my free time, I like to
But
create.
what if someone came to you and like, hey, we would love for you to be on The Masked Singer or another competition show like that? You are, Dr. Garfield Bright from Shy.
Like be on it as a performer or a
as a
judge.
performer.
Which I don't know. I don't know. Those things kind of like gimmicky to me, but
They are gimmicky. I'm just asking.
I just, they entertainment, but I don't want to be in. I
So
don't,
that's not
I don't want to
something. That's
entertain.
not
that
his
way.
bag, ladies and gentlemen.
But I admire people who do it and go on there. People who I never knew was who that was. Like, that's such and such. But
All right. So Dr. Well, I want to hear the music. You got some music queued up for me, Basil?
I got some music queued up.
All right.
But I was gonna ask you
Okay.
if you wanted to play the music on the way out, or you wanted to listen to it first, or it's up to you because we already have
Well, dang, DJ, you gave me all the decisions to make.
all the decisions because we
I would
actually are
love to
coming
hear
up.
a little bit. Can we hear a little snippet? And then I would love for you to tell me a little bit about, the process behind it, and then we can close out.
Sure, cool.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
Does that work for you?
That sounds
All right.
smooth. That sounds smooth.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah, her voice is dope, right? She got a dope voice.
She got a nice voice. All right, so I'm going to be listening to Sweet Memories by yours truly, your boy Bezel, featuring Mr. Garfield Bright.
Yay, Basil.
Yeah.
We need the applause.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to do like 5
All
things
the
at
things.
once.
I'm going to live. I'm going to let you live.
Yeah, can I get the applause over here? There goes the applause. All right.
Sometimes it soothes the soul to reflect and reminisce on the sweet memories of life, no doubt. Sweet memories, sweet memories, so good. Sweet memories,
When I first met her, I really couldn't speak. I seen her in the rear view, I thought it was a dream. I drove without a license, I was only 16. My homie thought I was crazy, she probably thought the same. But yeah, that's what attracted her to me. She snuck out the house when she couldn't leave. A rebel like myself, I was in too deep. I fell in love with this lady like instantly. We had a lot in common, I knew that she would agree. And when I asked her to dance, she said she hurt her knee. We both laughed and she thought that I was sweet. I'm trying to make it last, but she needs to leave. Trouble by the end of the night, but we all made it safe and everybody was alright. Had me memorized like I'm looking in the sky. The greatest feeling in the world that she became my wife. That's right.
sweet memories.
It's all good times, you know what I mean? It's my baby, you know what I mean? Please don't take it back, man. I gotta give a shout out to my man, Will Tight, Kevin, man, KC, Will Tight, Williams. I remember the time when we was driving home from school, I was sitting in the back, we got into a car accident, and my head went flying through the window, BAM! I woke up like, what? They called me Juggernaut after that.
Rest in peace, homie.
It's been a few years and I still feel the pain. I remember my dog in his own pushing the grain. Missing the conversation, you would always twist my brain. We would stay up late, record the tape and bump it all day like ooh, we would sing shy like we were part of the group. We trying to sing to the ladies, always acting a fool. I wish I would've took that gun from you. I went to your job and Nick was inside. That's when you asked us to ride like oh.
Yes, you are with In Touch News Radio, where everyone is a star. We just heard Buzzle and Dr. Garfield Bright's new single,
Sweet Memories.
Sweet Memories.
Go ahead, Vic.
You all need to tune in to www.intouchnews.com so you can hear Sweet Memories on rotation for the next, well, forever. Until we get something new. I love it. Y'all need to tune in. It was amazing. Good job, guys.
I appreciate it.
I love this track.
Yo, you is now kicking it with Kass, or you just have been kicking it with Kass, with your boy DJ Bass or Bezel. You know what I'm saying? That's how we do it. Featuring my man Garfield Bright, Dr. Garfield Bright. We appreciate you coming by the studio in Tampa Bay, showing us love. This is In Touch News Radio, where everybody is a star, including you.
Everybody's a star.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah, this track.
Thanks, y'all.
Bananas.
Peace. We're gonna leave in a minute as soon as I get it set up.
So you been to Paris before?
I've not been to
Look,
Paris.
so you hear this track right here, right?
Yes.
It's the craziest thing. When you go to Paris, I don't care if you're in the banking district, if you're in the hood, if you're on a subway, if you're in a restaurant, a lounge, the elevator.
This is what I hear.
They play this. It's called trip hop.
Trip hop.
They play that in everywhere. So you literally walking down the street, vibing to this in all spaces. And I don't think they realize how dope that is to like to.
See what I'm talking about? It's always an educational experience.
That's what. Look, I got it in the
This shit
car.
right here, though, this kind of vibe while you walk through Paris.
This is gonna be dope. Yo, let's get it out. All right.
Oh, bye guys.
Peace.
Coming right back at you, baby.